Welcome, ladies and gents, to Rage. My name is Camel, and today we will be taking a look at all of the Easter eggs that can be found within the game. This also includes all of the DLC content, although that's not much to be said. Timestamps for each of the Easter eggs can be found down in the description, along with links to my other Easter egg videos and my social media links. Now, for the uninitiated, an Easter egg is an unexpected or undocumented feature included as a joke or bonus. So while Easter eggs often are references to something, by definition they don't have to be. And finally, a friendly spoiler warning, but if you haven't played Rage yet, I'm sure this video will prompt you to. So let's get into Rage. Tucked away in the beautifully dystopian neon subway town, we'll want to visit Mayor Redstone's office, where we can find the ever-friendly and welcoming mayor himself. But more pressingly, on his desk we'll spot something interesting. A bobblehead, but not just any. This is a Blake Griffin bobblehead. Blake Griffin being a professional American basketball player. Now, the reason he has been immortalized as a bobblehead in Rage is likely due to Blake being used in a marketing campaign for Rage, in which he featured in a commercial, where he would perform great feats such as dunking over a tiger, in an attempt to impress the developers of id, all the while yelling things like, "Put me into your game." Whether Blake actually wanted to be put in the game or it was just all marketing, I cannot say. But the results are real. He did end up in the game as a bobblehead, wearing the same Rage singlet. Now, on the topic of marketing campaigns, we'll need to head to the lovely little dust bucket known as Wellspring, where we can find Sheriff Black's office. Here on a shelf we can find a curiously shaped object. It's an acrylic cube with what appears to be metal teeth inside it, or a grill. This is a reference to Tuco's grill from Breaking Bad, which is fitting as Hank, a police officer, receives and keeps Tuco's grill as a trophy, and of course we are inside the sheriff's office. Now, as I mentioned, this was another marketing campaign of sorts, as during the Breaking Bad episodes Problem Dog and Hermanos, Jesse Pinkman can be seen playing Rage. Now, this came about after a marketing opportunity discussion between id and AMC, both being fans of each other's work. The producers of the show were looking for video game material to be included in a few episodes, and id suggested the use of their new game, Rage. The result is Tuco's grill here in game and Jesse Pinkman playing Rage in the show. Now, once we get ourselves to Subway Town, if we wish to return to Wellspring, we'll need to take this blimp/Zeppelin thing. The guy that drives it or mans it is a guy called Charon. He gets his name from the famous Charon the Ferryman from Greek mythology, who would take the dead across the river Styx to Hades. Like we see in so many video games, the Transport Master has been named after this Greek legend. Now, if we want to trade some things while we're in Wellspring, our best bet is to visit the merchant known as Coffer. While there are a good many things in here to steal our attention, if we pop behind his desk and have a squiz on the computer, we'll see that his desktop background is actually concept art, which was made and used for Rage. And judging by the layout, not even he has upgraded to Windows 10. But using the game's own art in the game itself is a really sprucey detail that many would miss, and it's a cool concept art. Now, once we get our hands on the hottest wheels in the wasteland, the Monarch, and fully upgrade it, in appearance it will now almost twin the monster from the 2008 film Death Race, and has clearly been based off of it. Both have savage and crude post-apocalyptic aesthetics, a black paint job with red stripes, and are both used for the same purpose: racing and killing. Alright, now, as I'm sure most of us are aware, id Software, the developers of Rage, are famous for the Doom franchise, which is made very clear with the following Easter eggs. So firstly, the achievements/trophies for completing Rage on the various difficulty settings available, Hey Not Too Rough, Hurt Me Plenty, and Ultra Violence, are references to the names of difficulty settings available in the original Doom games. And the fourth difficulty achievement/trophy, Rage Nightmare, is also a reference to Doom's hardest difficulty setting, Nightmare. Which it is. It's an absolute nightmare. Now, the alternative ammunition for the Authority Pulse Cannon is called the BFG round. Of course, this BFG ammunition takes its name from the BFG from the Doom series, which, much like the Authority Pulse Cannon, is a big gun, which is literally what BFG stands for in the first place. Now, tucked away deep into the game is the hidden id developer room, which we'll get back to later on in the video, but amidst the dev signatures, we can find the signature of one Cacodemon. This is obviously a nod to the Cacodemon from the Doom series, which I would say is an iconic enemy. Although how it managed to sign this is beyond me. Now, all throughout the game we can find the small object known as the black coffee mug. Now, it's just a random miscellaneous item that we can pick up and sell to vendors. However, emblazoned on the face of it is a Doom 3 logo. Sadly, the texture is super low, so it's hard to make out, but with the comparison, we can see that it is in fact a Doom 3 logo. And while it kind of looks like it says Doom 2, the only Doom logo that had the number next to the Doom and not under it was Doom 3. So I'm gonna say that it's a Doom 3 logo. Now, in the town of Wellspring, if we duck in for a quick drink at the Second Chance bar, a man named Dallas can be found sitting and smoking. Well, notice he is reading a comic book, or at the very least flicking through it. Now, if we take a closer look, it might start looking familiar, even if you are not familiar with a particular comic. So Dallas here is reading the official Doom comic, which was only physically printed on 2 occasions, but is available for download online. What we can see here is page 6 and page 2. Amazing that Dallas managed to find an intact copy all the way in the post-apocalyptic future, a task that proves to be difficult even now. Now, throughout the game of Rage, we can run across 2 pieces of concept art from the Doom games, hidden away and blended into the environment. The first is this one, which is concept art from Doom 3 of the Spider Mastermind. This bad boy can be found in a few places, so keep an eye out for it. And the second piece was sadly completely unknown, and I could not for the life of me track down the reference art for it. But through hours of searching through game credits, hunting down old id stuff on Twitter, and eventually getting the help from one of the concept artists, this piece was confirmed as Rage concept art for an unused character called the Puppeteer, and is in fact not Doom 3 concept art. So a big thank you to the dev for helping me with that. Now, along these same lines of using Doom art, inside the Dead City and much of the cavern systems in Hagar Caves, we can find this piece of horrifying art, a demonic skull-type figure peering piercingly at us. This image is actually the loading screen art from Doom 3. While neither the art itself or the creature it depicts are encountered in the gameplay, this is the loading screen scene in the game. But it has been subtly and not so subtly incorporated into the environment of Rage, letting us know that there is another Doom game loading, getting ready for us. Now, out in the middle of nowhere, we'll find a shack next to a swamp. Here lives one madman, aptly named Crazy Joe. And in all his craziness, he wears a shirt that is quite blatantly merchandise for Doom 3, with the logo clearly presented on the front of his white shirt. Now, I mean, you do have to be crazy to wear a Doom 3 shirt over a Doom 2 shirt, let's be honest. Once again, inside the Dead City, we at one point will have to traverse a mall with varying stalls and fast food joints. But tucked away, we can find a store that I sure as hell want to visit, as outside there is incredibly auspicious advertising. A sale with 50% off both Rage 2, which at Rage's release was 7 years off being announced, and Doom 5, which technically would be Doom Eternal, which again at Rage's release was 7 years off being announced. It would appear id showed us their E3 announcements for 2018 all the way back in 2011. Right at the beginning of the game, when Dan Hagar saves us and picks us up in his buggy, we'll see that right on his dashboard there is a Doom Guy bobblehead. It is also the only animated bobblehead in the game, as when he drives the buggy, we can see the bobblehead physics, with the head bobbling around, like it should. Sadly, we can't pick this bad boy up, however, there is one later on in the secret Doom room that we can get. So what's this secret Doom room we speak of? Well, Inside the Gearhead Vault, we can find a door right next to the entrance that says E1M1. This is referencing Doom's level naming system, and more specifically is referencing the first level of the original Doom, Episode 1, Mission 1, Hangar. Now, later on in this level, we can find a room filled with computers. If we press all of the keyboards, we'll hear that noise. Once we do, if we head back to the E1M1 door, we can now open it to reveal a room decorated with original Doom assets, including a teleportation pad in the center. Now if we step onto this, we will be transported to nowhere other than E1M1. There are no enemies or anything of the sort in here, and we will have limited access to areas of the level. However, up the stairs we have a collectible Doom Guy bobblehead, one we can actually pick up and take with us. So be sure to do that, and then leave this doomed room. In Subway Town, there is a bunch of screens directly outside Janny's Supplies. In the lower right hand corner, there is a familiar face. The demons must have put up a bounty because this wanted criminal is none other than Sarge from the Doom movie. Now that is truly not a contract worth taking. At a few different points in the game, we can find this graffiti. It simply says Hell on Earth. This is a reference to Doom 2 Hell on Earth. Simple, but punctual. Now once again, in Subway Town, an elderly woman named Siri can be seen smoking a hookah, as all dystopian future grandmas should. On this hookah, however, there is some strange art. Upon a closer inspection, we will see that it is in fact the image of the Cyberdemon from the cover art of Doom 2, which has got to make each toke of that hookah even more brutal. There is a brand that we can find all throughout the game of Rage, and this brand would appear to be some kind of hardware company or tool company, and it's called Mixom. Now this brand is a reference to a brand of the same name, Mixom, from Doom 3, which was a tool company that was always confused with its rival company, Moxim. Inside the Dead City, in the mall area, out the back of the store that has 50% off Rage 2 and Doom 5, we can find a box of food on a bench. If we take a good look at it, we'll see that it is called Pinkies. This is both a reference to Twinkies, as the name is similar, the food on the box looks like Twinkies, and the urban legend of Twinkies is that they will be the food of the post-apocalypse, as they have so many preservatives that they'll never go off, which I do believe is not true. So we have the Twinkie reference, but you may notice the little pink demon on the side of the box. This is of course a reference to the pink demons from the Doom universe, which are known as Pinkies. So be aware of their hellish origins while downing a pack of Pinkies. Probably one of the hardest Easter eggs to discover organically while playing Rage is involved with the rocket launcher. So if we equip the rocket launcher and pull it out, then stand still for 5 minutes and 22 seconds, this will happen. A screen will pop out and show footage from the original Doom's E1M2 nuclear plant level. Sadly, you can't actually play the game through the rocket launcher, and all you get to do is watch the few seconds of gameplay. Nonetheless, it's a pretty cool nod to Doom, and again, very difficult to discover yourself. And speaking of difficult to discover, while we're in the final stage of the Mutant Bash TV area called Beware of the Kraken, once we complete the level, if we take a look at the stage props on the side with the ship, we'll see there are 3 lights, each being held by one of the Kraken's tentacles. If we shoot all 3 of these lights, a little friend will appear popping up and out of the waves below. This green fellow is known as Dopefish. Now, Dopefish was originally conceived by Tom Hall as one of 24 possible characters for id Software's 1991 game Commander Keen. It did end up being implemented into the game, but has since become a gaming industry inside joke, and has made secret Easter egg appearances in many games, even outside of id's clutch. And once again, here he is making yet another secretive appearance. During our time inside the Dead City, as we approach the doors into the mall, we will see huge, disgusting slime pods and twisted forms covered in ooze and filth, a wretched sight. But amongst the filth, there are naked figures of women, set in the slime and muck. This is a reference to the various women you have to rescue throughout the Duke Nukem franchise, who have been captured by aliens and can be found in a variety of poses and entangled in alien tentacles and covered in slime. Yes, I too have seen that video. Now at some point near the start of the game, when we are sent to Wellspring, we'll have to speak to the mayor of the town, Mayor Clayton. While his office is colorfully decorated, there is one object that stands out with a radioactive-like glow. On the corner of his desk, we will spot it, a Vault Boy bobblehead. This is of course a reference to Vault Boy from the Fallout franchise, which is even more fitting as bobbleheads are an aspect of the Fallout games too. Now once we finish the Scorch's DLC content, we will have access to our very own home in Wellspring, which has a trophy room. In here, there is a radio, and one of the songs that we can hear playing on it is a rendition of the track called Home on the Wastes, which is sung by the Lonesome Drifter at the Aces Theatre at the Tops Casino in Fallout New Vegas, and is a track written specifically for that game, unlike most of the other tracks on the radio. And here it is once again in a different post-apocalyptic wasteland. Now, the Authority in Rage bears many similarities to the Combine from the Half-Life franchise. They both have descended from former US governments and play the same tyrannical overlording roles. Also, their soldiers' uniforms look very similar, or armor I suppose is more apt in this case. And playing along the same lines, when we're in Subway Town, we can find an Authority guard standing next to a can on the ground. As we approach him, this will happen.
Pick up that can. That's a good boy.
This is a reference and essentially a complete recreation of a scene from Half-Life 2, in which a civil protection officer throws a can onto the ground and tells you to pick it up and put it into the trash. And upon doing so, he calls you a good boy. In the Dead City, we can find a news van that says Hexinews 6 on it. This is a reference to Hexen, a game developed by Raven Software and published by id Software using the Doom engine. Also, the final digits of the phone number are a series of sixes, which is something id often throws in where they can, 666. But unlike this van, that's not news to anyone. Now when we go and visit the Mutant Bash TV headquarters, we'll be met by J.K. Stiles, the host of the show. In the background, he has many screens showing various things, but on two of the monitors, he has playing something that looks pretty familiar. It's the load up intro to all modern id Software games, in case you had any doubt who made this game Rage, if it wasn't clear enough with all the Doom references. Now inside the trophy room that we spoke of a minute ago, we can find a neon sign against a wall that very clearly says id, and is of course id's logo. There is also a light bulb right above it, which means id's had an idea. Now while we are on the topic of id Software, inside of Wellsprings, if we visit Rusty's Auto Parts, we can find a buggy parked under the shelter. On each side of the buggy is the logo for id Software, and after running some races, if we speak to Rusty, we can actually buy the buggy paint job that places this id logo onto our buggy as well. It even has a little note there, one of the last reminders of a long dead race of game developers. Wear it with pride. Luckily, id isn't dead, but we do get the cool paint job for our buggy. Inside the abandoned distillery, we can find this mattress hidden away, and behind it there is a wheel which we can turn. Doing so will half open a secret door nearby, where inside we can find the secret developer room. First thing we'll notice is this id Software logo that has been fashioned out of junkyard parts and only works from a limited range of angles. Now the whole rest of the room is covered in signatures and notes made by the developers of Rage. There are also some other Easter eggs in here, such as the Cacodemon Signature and some more we'll see later on. Now, id Software is based in Dallas, Texas, and as a homage to their state of Texas, 3 characters in Rage that share identical character models bear the names of 3 Texan cities. This would be Dallas, the guy with the Doom magazine, and 2 randoms, Houston and Austin. Now, 2 id developers managed to slip into the game with unnoticed nods to themselves. Firstly, in the small cave that leads to the abandoned distillery, we can find a stone with a flat face that says Gloria. This is a nod to Gloria Canickel, one of the programmers for Rage. And secondly, on the wall in the Blue Line subway station, there is a room with water flowing across the floor as it has been tilted with the seismic conjunction of post-apocalyptia. Inside one of the cubicles on the wall, we can see written Mr. Scary. Although it was never released who specifically, it was confirmed by a Rage developer that Mr. Scary is the nickname of one of the other developers that worked on Rage, but wouldn't specify which. As soon as we walk through the door at the abandoned distillery, there is a pillar with some Russian text on it, which supposedly translates to Jan was here. This is referring to painter Jan van Eyck, who would sign his paintings with Jan was here rather than just his signature. Now, going back to the secret developer room, on one of the walls we can find the message that says "Not Penny's boat." This is a reference to a scene from the show Lost in which Charlie writes "Not Penny's boat" on his hand while he's drowning, and presses it against the glass, allowing Desmond to see the message. And for some reason, it's kind of evolved into meme culture, Not Penny's boat. And in a similar Lost fashion, on the second floor of the wasted garage, there is a street sign that has 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42 written on it. Now, if you've ever seen Lost, these might seem familiar, as they are the reoccurring string of numbers from the show. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42. Each corresponds with one of the final candidates to replace Jacob as protector of the island. The numbers also form the coefficients in an equation that predicted mankind's extinction, but that's neither here nor there. It's just Lost. Inside Hagar Cave during the Scorchers DLC, next to a waterfall and stream hidden away, there is a patch of blue mushrooms. Now, unlike the other mushrooms in the game though, when picked up, they have this unique psychedelic lighting effect. This is of course a reference to hallucinogenic mushrooms and drug culture. However, it may also be a reference to Fable and Fable the Lost Chapters, which contains a mission to recover blue mushrooms, which will be used to make an antidote for a young boy who has eaten the same blue mushrooms. Either way, a colourful secret, and it's pretty funky that the devs put this in here. Inside of Subway Town, we can find the character Dietrich. He appears to be a reference to Prussian Prime Minister Otto von Bismarck. He resembles him physically, he wears a similar garb, he has similar facial hair, and he wears a similar helmet. His name also means leader, which Otto von Bismarck was. So inside the ghost hideout, after returning for a missing persons mission, if we go to the base of the zip line, we can find on the stairs a box of Crayola crayons. Okay, so firstly, the Qs are clearly Quake logos. Secondly, these are inarguably a reference to the criticism that Quake featured too many brown tones. So as we can see, it have made a joke of it with 64 shades of brown Crayola crayons, spelled with the Quake logo. And thirdly, the name Crayola is also a reference to the real-life brand of Crayola crayons, which they've twisted into Crayola crayons, which doesn't get easier to say. Now, we can acquire a schematic for a dynamite bolt for the crossbow, and its description of "when you need some dynamite delivered really quickly" is likely a reference to the rocket launcher's description from the manual to the original Quake, which states, "For when a grenade positively, absolutely has to be there on time." Now, the Quake room Easter egg is located in the wasted garage. Towards the end of the level, we will find some graffiti with the logo for Quake with an arrow pointing up the stairs. If we follow the arrow through, however, it will lead us to a blocked off staircase. So, hidden away inside the wasted garage, there are 3 Quake style buttons we'll need to find and press. Once all 3 have been activated, if we head back to the Quake logo and the stairs, all the junk will now be cleared and we can make our way to the top, where there is now a Quake portal. If we enter, we'll find ourselves inside the difficulty select room from Quake, with 3 portals for each difficulty. Entering these in Rage, however, does nothing. In fact, you can't even enter them. Nothing happens. In the center of the room, there is also a Shambler plushie that can be collected. So be sure to grab that, then turn around and take the same portal we entered to get out. This is a pretty common one, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I can't argue with the results. The assault rifle and the combat shotgun both have crosshairs or sights that, when looking down the barrel, look like the Quake logo. Again, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but it is undeniable. Not that you'll ever notice them, but the announcer during the Road Rage events is the same as the announcer from Quake 3. Also, during these many races, one of the opponents will be a chap named Xero. This is a reference to the final boss of Quake 3 Arena, who has the exact same name, Xero. It looks like he retired and became a racing driver after getting his ass kicked. In Wellspring, inside the Second Chance bar, there are some signs for a brand of oil called Rexor Motor Oil. These appear to be a reference to the real-life Sinclair motor oil, as the signs are green, have a dinosaur on them, and of course are a brand of motor oil. Now, the famous and visually spastic Mutant Bash TV is a reference to the classic 1990s arcade game Smash TV, in both name and concept, as just the name Mutant Bash TV sounds like Smash TV, and Smash TV revolves around a futuristic, violent game show in which players move through a series of rooms collecting prizes and clearing out waves of enemies using guns and power-up abilities. Sound familiar? Exactly. The same concept as Mutant Bash TV. Now, when we go to visit Dr. Kvasir in his laboratory, he will interact with us using these 2 robotic claws. The way they fight each other over objects and act is a reference to the creeping dark tendrils from the 2007 game The Darkness, where the creeping dark tendrils would often fight each other over objects or food, just like the robotic arms here in Rage 2. Now, in the wasted garage, if we need to take a leak, we'll hit up the bathroom, only to discover this message on the wall. Some graffiti that says Tommy plus Jenny. 2 things this is likely a reference to. Firstly, Jenny is the girl referenced in the song 8675309/Jenny, performed by Tommy Two Tone, the concept of which is Tommy finding Jenny's number on a bathroom wall. So, Tommy and Jenny in a bathroom wall makes sense. The second reference is to the game Prey, the original 2006 Prey, in which the main character is Tommy and his girlfriend's name is Jen, and the game opens with Tommy looking into a bathroom mirror, reflecting literally, but more to the point, reflecting on his relationship with Jen. Prey also ran on the id Tech 4 engine and was later bought by ZeniMax, so there are also some inside ties to Prey. On the various vehicles that we can get our hands on, one of the upgrades we can get is to add huge spikes to our wheels. These spikes have been entirely modeled off of the wheel spikes Jeremy Clarkson puts on his car's rear wheels during the Top Gear Police Car Challenge. And I don't mean based off, I mean they look identically designed off of them, not just similar. Now, the Wasted Clan bears a resemblance to the Orcs from Warhammer 40k. They are both loud, yobbish, speed freaks who are clad in primitive armor, share similar love for patterns and paintwork, and who also both speak in dodgy Cockney accents. That's correct, apparently it's canon that orcs in 40k speak with Cockney accents. Now, wingsticks are a staple and iconic weapon of Rage, but they appear to have 2 sources of inspiration. Firstly is the boomerang weapon from 1991's Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. It's a super sharp boomerang that will kill cut, and return to the thrower. Sound familiar? The second would be the glaive from 1993's Krull, an ancient and magical 5-pointed throwing weapon that returns to the thrower. Lead developers of Rage have stated admiration and love for both films, making the references that much stronger. And finally, we have the secret Wolfenstein room. This is located in the ghost hideout on this upper floor behind the TV. The wall looks unsuspecting, but if we click it, it will reveal an original Wolfenstein door. Opening it will reveal a room from Wolfenstein 3D, and at the end of which will be the collectible Wolf Goblet, which is identical in appearance to treasures found throughout the original game. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Camel, and this has been my Easter egg video for Rage. I do hope you thoroughly enjoyed it and learnt something new about this awesome post-apocalyptic game. If you do know anyone who would like this kind of content, be sure to share it with them. Please leave a like, leave a comment, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe. It helps me know that people are interested in these kind of videos and will result in more of them in the long run. My other Easter egg video links can be found down in the description. Down there are also links to my social media. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and if you would like to support the channel in a more personal way, you can become a heroic patron on Patreon or a sponsor of the channel right here on YouTube. As I'm sure you know, all of my time and energy goes into making these videos that I create for you to enjoy, so your support is most appreciated and welcomed in any and all forms. Feel free to check out the playlist on screen. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll see you very shortly in the next video. I'll see you there soon.